You're gonna completely have to forgive me for this terrible setup and the terrible quality and everything and the mess in the background as well. As some of you may know, I've been training out in Thailand now for just about 4 or 5 days. Obviously that's why I haven't been able to upload loads and loads of videos. Essentially when the fights were going on over the weekend, I was on the plane arriving here, so I've had to first of all adjust and be completely jet lagged for the first few days, but now I'm kind of finding my groove a little bit. And if you want to check out the experience I'm having over here, just go and subscribe to my vlog channel, which there'll be a little link up the top right of the screen for you to go and check out if you so choose to. Today I'm literally going to be talking about something, and I'm getting a bit rowdy about this. This is about Lucas Tracey, right? Once again claiming that, you know, Khabib's higher than Alex Pereira on the GOAT list now and all this and that. And I was sitting back and I was sitting and evaluating this, and I was sitting basically saying to myself, okay, if I sit and break this down, I've got a few notes, right? We're gonna first of all go off of title reign, and then I'm gonna sit and speak to you about obviously other things that go into it. Let's have a little talk about Khabib's biggest wins in the UFC, right? And I've got a list of four big wins that are extremely meaningful against top level competition. We're not including his title win against Al Iaquinta, because essentially Al Iaquinta came in on literally 2 days notice, 24 hours notice, and was given an opportunity that he didn't deserve. And then obviously we all know what happened in that fight. You know, Khabib actually he didn't look massively impressive against him, but he did a job for 5 rounds, you know. And there's that funny clip of him turning and running away from Ali, which is still to this day one of my favorite clips. So we've got Justin Gaethje, right? Good win, but a striker, considering Khabib is a grappler, you know, that's quite in his favor. Doesn't matter though, we're just going off of competitional standpoint. Gaethje, Poirier, again a really good solid win. I mean, Poirier is a tough fight for any man, regardless of skill set or regardless of stylistic matchup, right? Conor, obviously McGregor, biggest fight in UFC history at that point in time, was coming off the Mayweather fight. Obviously everybody knew what McGregor did to Alvarez, and then he went on a little venture to go box and stuff, and everybody knows McGregor's capabilities and how incredible he is as an athlete, you know. Also his striking's unbelievable, and at that point in time there was no question if he was meant to be there was no question if McGregor was on an elite level of striking and mixed martial arts, you know. And then actually I've chucked in for Khabib's 4th best win in the UFC is RDA, because obviously RDA fought Khabib at lightweight and then moved up to welterweight shortly after. I mean, RDA's fought everyone. He's fought Edwards, Colby. You know, there's not much in the lightweight and welterweight division that RDA hasn't done, and he's still doing very, very well. Obviously he just lost to Vicente Luque, but obviously RDA is at the end of his career now, and at the time when he fought Khabib, he was an animal. You know, he still is an animal. He's a phenomenal fighter, an incredible fighter. So obviously you can't take that win away from Khabib. He beat RDA, and that's something that's probably one of the hardest things in the world to do, is beat that man. So anybody who does it now, it's not as impressive as back then, so fair play to Khabib for that, obviously. But then I want to say this, Alex Pereira, right? 9 wins, 2 losses. I just want that's my first time I'm gonna say he's had 11 fights, right? That is mental. He's only had 11 fights, and we have to take that into consideration. Going on about Khabib's achievements and how Khabib's higher on the GOAT list. Khabib's first 14 fights were literally 2-round exhibition fights that have been counted towards a pro record and stuff, you know. It's just ridiculous how that whole narrative's been spun, that he's this undefeated 29-0 prospect beating all these unbelievable people. No, his first 14 fights he was meant to win. Then his UFC run, fair play to him, was average at best, but he was still winning in the best organization in the world. And his last 5 fights were his best fights, you know, against Al Iaquinta. Then he had that 4-fight streak after that, or 3-fight streak after that. He had a good 3 fights on the trot. Obviously he's unbelievable, and he did probably have more to offer, but in terms of activity, the man fought once a year, you know, regardless of COVID or anything. He never seemed actively looking for a fight. He kind of just knew he had to defend the belt and did just enough to keep the belt. But I want to I'm going to read you out Pereira's wins. And bear in mind, Pereira was, what, 5-1 when he joined the UFC? Something like this. Jan Blachowicz, close fight. Arguably could have gone either way. However, he gets the job done. And obviously, if we're speaking about Khabib, his close split decisions in the UFC, which most likely he should have lost, you know. You can't say anything about Khabib dominating everyone. He's had a few really close fights. Adesanya, right. Instantly, Adesanya is better than any one of Khabib's wins, 100%. You guys know how much I slag off Adesanya. That man tore through the middleweight division, beating wrestlers, strikers, all this type of thing. And then Pereira, in his literally 7th MMA fight, beats him. So it's just And like he did it by stopping him, right? Blachowicz, Adesanya, Sean Strickland, who's just went and dominated Adesanya for 5 rounds. Adesanya after coming back and knocking out Pereira, you know? And obviously Pereira has lost in the UFC, but obviously he's got caught by Adesanya, but he's also beat Adesanya, right? And then he went up and fought Blachowicz. He moved up a weight class, second weight class, 15 pounds difference. Holy shit, how big is the weight difference? Yeah, around 15, 20 pounds difference. That's insane. That's just like 9 kilos difference. It's crazy. And then he beat Yuri most recently over the weekend, and it was a good stoppage, I believe. I mean, regardless, it was a really good stoppage. Something that he never did was take 2 belts, which Pereira has done. And bear in mind, Pereira is 9-2, not 29-0. You know what I mean? Like there was not a chance Khabib was ever going up a weight class. I mean, he said that in multiple interviews. I remember with BT Sports saying, no, he doesn't appeal to me, he wants to be the greatest lightweight ever. I mean, it's actually something I really respect about Islam Makhachev. He wants to go up to all these different weights and do as much as he can in the sport and like just be undoubtedly the greatest fighter ever. Khabib just wanted to be a good fighter at lightweight, and you can't discredit him for that. But holding a belt at 185 and 205, it's 20 pounds difference. Okay, so I'm gonna settle this right here. I don't see how anybody can claim that Khabib is higher on the GOAT list than Pereira. First of all, Pereira's done it in 11 fights. He's held 2 belts, and those 2 belts being 20 pounds apart, plus beating Sean Strickland convincingly in the first round with a clean left hook, out cold. Strickland then went on to batter Adesanya. Pereira battered Adesanya, beat Blachowicz, close fight, and it's just knocked out Yuri in two rounds. Compared to Khabib, you know, come on, Lucas, man. Realistically, sit back and evaluate who you're. 29-0 is nothing. His first 14 fights were on his dad's shows. Like, you can literally go back. They're unlisted organizations that were happened, and they're 2-round exhibition fights. They had to be declared exhibition fights because there was no pro sanctioning to them. Delusional little individuals that are going to sit back and say Khabib's phenomenal, he's great, but in terms of accomplishments in the sport, Pereira has done more. In terms of accomplishment, absolutely Pereira's done more. 29-0 means nothing. 3 good fights on the trot against people that stylistically are handy for you. Be real here, guys. Come like that, ridiculous. Don't forget to subscribe and drop a like. Really appreciate it.